Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Miguel Sanchez. I'm calling to order the Special Committee on Ways and Means. It is 5:39, Tuesday, May 26th. Madam Clerk, can we do roll call, please?
Chair Sanchez.
Present.
Vice Chairman Taylor.
Here.
Councilor Davidson.
Here.
Councilwoman Graves.
Here.
Councilman Peterson.
Here.
We have 5 present. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I want to also give Councilwoman Davidson a warm welcome. This is her first official meeting, Ways and Means Committee. I also want to recognize our colleague, Councilman Vargas, for also joining us. Thank you. Policy staff, clerk's office, our city solicitor, thank you. At this time, I will entertain a motion to waive the readings of items 1 through 5.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Graves, second by Councilor Jem Taylor. All those in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. Thank you. At this time, I will entertain to enter Exhibit 26 into the record.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Peterson, second by Councilwoman Graves. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Crystal?
Swear to be in.
Yes, thank you. If you plan on testifying before us, can you please stand up at this time?
Please swear. Please raise your right hand. Please swear on the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And please state your names for the record.
Lawrence Mancini, Chief Financial Officer.
Crystal Lindbergh, Deputy Finance Director and Budget Officer.
Dr. Ganini, City School Controller.
Jill Rios, Mentor Administrator.
David Simone, Situate. James Hospitality.
Murphy, Executive Secretary. Jim Solaria, Chief Information Officer.
Chief Mancini, we missed you. How you been?
Likewise, Mr. Chair.
You been good?
Good time off.
Good.
Appreciate it.
Crystal, the floor is yours.
Wonderful, thank you, Chair Sanchez. I would like to invite the IT department up first to come be with you with the committee so that we can swap out with our finance director. She will join us for the rest of this.
That sounds great to me.
So come on up, Jim. I'm joined today by the city's Chief Information Officer, Jim Silveria. Wonderful. The IT department does generate revenue. Revenue is generated from a technology fee that is assigned to all municipal court tickets. This committee reviewed that ordinance earlier in this budget season and agreed to increase that fee from $2 per transaction to $6 per transaction. As a result, we are reporting an additional $1.8 million in revenue in fiscal year 2027, which will be offset by a corresponding increase in expenditure. Total proposed expenses in fiscal year 2027 are $10,208,988. This represents a $1,958,297 increase over the fiscal year 2026 budget, or 23.73% increase. Total salaries in fiscal year 2026 are budgeted $2,160,104. We are adjusting salaries in fiscal 2027 by $75,404 for cost of living increases and $15,000 or $15,248 for step increases, bringing total proposed fiscal 2027 salaries to $2,250,956. There are no proposed changes to compensation or FTEs in this department. The line items in the IT budget have been broken into fixed and discretionary costs. The vast majority of these items are considered fixed and are under contract. Any contract above $50,000 has been itemized on the next slide. First up, we have private contractors at $667,000. This is seeing a $215,000 increase over the fiscal year 2026 budget, and this funding provides any necessary loss-in support, which is our primary ERP software, network wiring, as well as funding for our ERP consultant, which is the reason for this increase next year. The department has retained an extremely qualified and competent consultant who is helping us draft and work through this ERP upgrade process, and this funding is necessary to keep her on through the rest of the next fiscal year. Additionally, we are seeing a $1.7 million increase in information technology, which is considered a fixed cost. This is where the court case management software fees are living, and this is what the increase is attributable to. Total supply line items are decreasing from fiscal year 2026. While we see a small increase in computer equipment, this is largely due to some equipment that is at end of life and needing to be replaced, as well as the expiration of some ARPA funds we had on stands that had allowed us to store our computer inventory, which we're now needing to continue to maintain out of the operating budget. Office supplies are being reduced by double, about $10,000 down to $10,000. This is not only office supplies for the IT department, but it also provides any sort of desktop printer costs throughout the entire city. Stationery is check stock, tax forms, and hard drive shredding services that are necessary in this department, and we're seeing a small decrease of $2,000 in this line item. Rent is being eliminated throughout the city budget, and as a result, this department is being reduced by $98,000. Repairs to equipment is another discretionary line item. This is various equipment maintenance and has been reduced by $3,500 supported by trend. Copier and lease maintenance is going up due to the new copy machine inventory they have on staff. And so we're seeing a modest increase in this line item. There is a small allocation of $500 for travel. This is reimbursements for employee mileage, which I believe has come up in previous hearings. So there are some employees in this department that are required to travel from building to building as part of their work schedule. And the city does reimburse them at the IRS approved rate for mileage driven in their personal vehicle. We do not reimburse any sort of mileage driven in the city. And the last fixed line item is telephone at $355,000. We're seeing a small savings of $57,000 due to better management of this contract. The director can get into in more detail if you have questions. There is quite a list of contracts over $50,000. I won't read through all of them, but we have itemized them by account code and vendor, along with a description of what service they're providing. Most of these things are all under contract and are very heavily relied upon by our departments to keep operations functioning. And I'm sure the director could elaborate on any of these services if there are questions. And that rounds up the financial portion of this presentation.
Thank you, Crystal. Does anyone have any questions regarding the presentation before we hear from the director? Crystal did such a great job, like always. Thank you. Director, the floor is yours. Or Chief, sorry.
Well, thank you for having me here. We appreciate the opportunity to talk about our department. First of all, I do want to call your attention to the staff that we have in IT. Many of you are familiar with the employees we have working here in City Hall, as well as the staff that we have supporting all of our operations based up at both 444 Westminster Street and Public Safety. And very, very pleased with their work, very, very proud of the work that they do. And can't speak enough about the effort and confidence that we have for a IT team now that's coming from the budget that you've supported over the years and positions that you've supported has really meant a lot, I think, to our operations and supporting city government operations and modernizing and supporting the efforts of city government throughout. Elsewhere in the budget, Crystal did a great job describing the expenses and revenues that we have. As she mentioned, the largest single line item in there is our new court case management system. We've been able to get one single case management system in place and used throughout 3 different courts. And probate, municipal, and housing courts. Municipal court is making most of the system and doing the largest volume of activity through there. So we are charged on a per case basis for municipal court, but fortunately that's a revenue cost neutral situation because we are also adding on the technology fee to tickets issued throughout the city. So all of the cases that come before the municipal court essentially will pay for themselves in the court case management system. Another major expense that we've had over the past couple of years is we've started to shift some of the expenses from public safety systems and software into the city IT budget. Previously, they had been in a fire line item or a police line item or a commissioner's office line item. And we're continuing to do that this year. The largest project that we've had is computer-aided dispatch upgrade, which we completed in this current fiscal year. So we are now, we're still working with Tyler, which is really the premier dispatch system in the industry. We're using their cloud hosting services. So Tyler is hosting the platform of the system. We do have several redundant connections from our dispatch office and public safety buildings to be able to reach that. And it's been working quite well for the past roughly 9 months now. That's been up in service. So that is a large expense that has been transferred from public safety into the city IT accounts. Moving along, in future years, we are going to continue to support Tyler, additional upgrades and support public safety services. We also have 2 staff now who report directly to IT, supporting public safety operations there. So we're a lot more involved in coordinating their operations, supporting their business, and making sure that things are running well. And also, as Crystal mentioned, another large project that we have ongoing in this fiscal year, into next fiscal year and beyond, is an upgrade of our ERP system. This is what we currently use in Lawson. Lawson has announced an end of life to the version that we use today. So they are no longer going to support that system after sometime around 2030. That sounds like it's a long time away. In terms of major IT systems, it's not very far at all. So we've been working with a contractor, and she's been doing an excellent job. She's been there through Knowledge Services, meeting with departments here in this room, meeting with all of our operational divisions, all of our financial divisions, and putting together needs analysis, gap analysis, and requirements for a new ERP system. We're currently scheduled to begin drafting the RFP this fall and releasing it later this fall into the winter, so that when we come before you next year, we'll have an idea of what we're going to be looking at for a replacement for Lawson. And that will also give us ample time to work through the contracting portion, the data migration, the service migration, retraining everybody, and upgrading our current Lawson environment into whatever we can. So that's a project we've been working on for this year. We'll be working on it for the better half of next year, and we're really looking forward to the results, because it's going to have a major impact on the majority of city operations that we work on. Okay. And then one other major system that we put into place last March 11th, we launched our PVD 311 system. So that system has been unwound out. We're continuing to support that, make upgrades. We've worked with council members and staff, as well as the mayor's office, to improve some of the reporting features, improve some of the some of the search capabilities within it, and some of the case capabilities within it. So it's easier to find the type of requests that you're looking to make, easier to report a request, easier to use it on your mobile device, your phone, for example, drop a pin, find your location. I'm looking at a pothole, and my phone knows where I'm standing, so I can report what I'm seeing in real time. That system has been working very, very well for our city. We've tied it into DPW, parks, and public properties. So when a request comes in, if it belongs to one of those departments, it's automatically routed to them. So they'll receive a work order, they'll complete the work, and it goes back to the constituent that their request has been completed. So we're going to continue to support that in the next year. Other operations that we're working on, there is a minor increase in computer equipment. Over the past couple of years, we've kind of had trends of replacing hardware as needed. 2 years ago, Microsoft was ending support for Windows 10, and we had a good number of computers within our network that were running Windows 10 that could not be upgraded to Windows 11. This is just keeping pace with technology, and staying with mainstream operating systems. So as we migrated everything to Windows 11, we did need to purchase a good number of computers. We replaced over 500 within the city. That was 2 years ago. So following that, our costs did drop last year. Next year, we are looking at some of the computers that we were able to upgrade but not replace. Those are now starting to age out. So we're planning to make, a somewhat significant investment next year in replacing some of our aging computer desktop hardware, desktops, laptops, and staff computers. And then our telephone services. So IT, we manage cell phones for the city administration group. So that's all of the mayor's offices. That includes all of our DPW, mayor's administration, many of the staff are allocated directors who have city cell phones. We've been able to negotiate reduced costs through our AT&T contract, bringing average monthly cost per device from a little more than $40 per month down to $30 a month. And depending on the option that you have, now the plans are either 30 or 35 if you have mobile data center. So this allows staff in, for example, DIS, if they have a mobile device in their car, they bring their laptop, they can tether to this device, they can work anywhere in the city from their vehicle without having to come back to the office to file their reports and do what they need to do. Same thing with licensed inspectors, for example. They're working completely out of their vehicles, out in the field, and able to do what they need to do over these mobile devices. And like I said, we've been able to reduce the cost somewhat significantly over the past several years, and again in this fiscal year. With that, I'd be happy to answer any. Those are some of the highlights we have in our department. So we'll be happy to answer any questions about the project.
Thank you, Chief. We appreciate everything that you and your department does for the people of Providence. Committee members, any questions? Couple questions. Councilor Peterson.
Hey Chief, how are you? Nice to see you. So ERP is a very large project in transition, and we have a little bit of a testimony as to what happened when the system didn't go great with the state, right? Can you tell me if some of the stuff that you're working on that might help us? Certainly would love to avoid every single thing that happened with that one being a state employee. It was not great. But it certainly, the transition is large, the transition is really extensive, and I just kind of wanted to know how you guys are preparing for it, because it seems like it's a very, very, very large undertaking.
That's a good point. It is a very large undertaking. I can't speak directly to what happened in the state. I haven't been involved in that project. I read the same things.
Just to confirm, ERP, is this a payroll management?
So it's an industry term, enterprise resource planning. It includes our payroll, it includes our finance, our budgeting, our accounts payable services, our receivable services and invoicing that we provide. Includes everything we do in our human resources, from hiring through retirement. It includes our retirement system, retirement payroll, retirement loans that we offer, retirement calculations. Purchasing as well. So all of the purchase orders, keeping track of contracts and purchases throughout there. All of the money that moves around the city is managed through our loss and environment, our ERP system, as well as all of the people records, their training, their positions, their steps and grades and salaries, their benefits, insurance, all of that is handled through our ERP system today. And that is the platform that we're looking to upgrade and migrate to a new platform.
Thank you. Going back to Councilwoman Peterson's.
Oh yeah, the execution transition, it's a large undertaking.
Yes, so we recognize that. First of all, the city obviously is much, much smaller.
Yes.
and less complicated than the state organization. The people that we have in IT are very, very close to the operations that we manage through our existing ERP system, and we even have people in this room from our controller's office that have their hands in the ERP system using it daily. So we've been working very, very closely with our various departments. So everybody involved in finance, from the treasurer through budget, through the finance office, payroll, accounts payable, accounts receivable, all of those offices, we've been working with them to very clearly document what it is that they do, what their needs are, what they do when they receive something, and what they do in Lawson to process that. We've been doing a great deal of work also with our HR department, so people and culture, and total rewards to document what are the benefits that people receive. How are my insurance benefits and your insurance benefits managed throughout the system, and how that ties into the carriers. We've been doing a lot of work with our purchasing departments to document how requests, whether it's my team or anybody else, when requests to make a purchase calls, whether it goes to the board of contract and supply or not, how that request is managed in Lawson. We've also been working very closely with the school department and Providence Water to include them in this process, because the three organizations all use Lawson primarily the same way, but there are some nuances in how they manage their businesses. So our first step is to document what are we doing today, and that's the phase that we're in right now. Moving forward, we're going to put together our requirements. So it's that kind of the gap analysis between what we're doing today and what's possible. Because Lawson, it works very, very well. It's still supported. They do continue to come up with new features, but across the industry, there are new systems out there that do things a little differently, a little bit better, things that we don't own today. So we're going to be researching what do other cities and towns, counties, other organizations our size within government, how do they run their ERP? And what are the products that are out there that would be available to us to improve our government services?
Thank you.
So we're putting a lot of effort into finding where we are, where we're going to be, and then most importantly, we'll be doing a great deal of effort into our data migration, process migration, to make sure that whatever the new system does, matches or exceeds what we're doing in our current system. So whether it's payroll, benefits, or accounts payable, the processes map to each other, and they've been tested and tried, to ensure that we don't have any issues moving through this transition.
Thank you. Can I follow up with a separate question? Thank you for that. That was really helpful. I'm eager to learn a little bit more about what you guys decide as you transition into that project, because it's the experience I had with it wasn't great. So I'm kind of keenly aware of some of the things that I had, and I was also one of those testers in the beginning. You never know what can happen, but moving on to grants in cybersecurity. We know that PPSD had a little bit of a situation, and what I wanted to do was ask a little bit more, and I don't know if you manage the PPSD information technology anything, so if you don't, I'll just wait until Thursday to ask this question, but more so I really did want to understand what we're applying for in terms of grants, what we have applied for, what we're currently working on, and if that stuff transitions over to the PPSD side as well.
So
Actually, can I, before you answer, my question was very similar, so maybe can I say it as well, and you can just do the whole enchilada together. So, hi, Joe. I'm Joe. So I also interested in information security, and both related to the PPSD data breach in 2024, but also helping us understand what security provisions are already embedded in the budget that we're looking at right now, because I'm not seeing any separate line items. We don't have a CISO, we don't have sort of specific, I'm not seeing the security that I'm sure is there. but can you help us see the city's info security systems a little better?
Sure.
Thank you. I didn't want to, and I don't want to take away from Councilor Peterson's questions, so, but they were so similar that I just thought it'd make more sense to pile on.
All right, so let's start with the good news is grants. In current fiscal year, we applied for and we were awarded, I believe it's about $141,000 through a state cybersecurity grant to conduct testing and documentation. So we're coming up, we've completed the work now. We're just awaiting final reports on penetration testing on our public-facing networks, our business internal networks, and our wireless networks. We also are completing a cyber response plan and an assessment that was completed for the city. So we've been working with a contractor, a security contractor, for the past several months on documenting IT processes, procedures, and documentation according to NIST, which is National Institute Framework, and it's commonly accepted computer operation framework of recommendations. They basically say this is how a secure network environment should run. So we've been working with a vendor who is helping us map our policies, procedures, and documentation to that framework, make sure that we have all the systems, services, and steps in place to continue to maintain a safe, secure, and reliable network. I will say that some of the results, the preliminary, that have come out of this have been very, very promising. Where our network environment, where we've conducted testing on it, we've done very, very well. We've had to make a couple of adjustments on some of our internal services on our private networks. We address those immediately, but we've done very, very well in the testing. Some of the other areas that we're working with is on documentation. That is, it's something that we need to improve upon, where we have a small group of people, we have 19 people throughout IT, and all of us, I feel do our jobs very, very well. We all know our jobs very well, we all know the environment and our systems very well, but we haven't written down everything that we do very well. So going forward, that's part of what we're going to be doing as well, is maintaining documentation on our environment, our network, our security, our services. Okay. We've also applied for several grants in the next round of funding through the state cybersecurity group for additional, we're looking to conduct annual penetration testing and annual testing on the network. So we're awaiting results of that grant. That is not going on yet. Okay. To address both Providence Public Schools and Providence Water for that matter, we host Lawson for Providence Schools and Providence Water. Okay. That is our primary relationship with them from IT. So the Lawson environment that we all use here is the same exact system that they use there. They use it for their payroll, their accounts payable, their receivables, their benefits, and HR administration. And that's kind of the limit of what we provide to those organizations. I do not oversee IT operations or really have anything to do with IT operations for Providence Public Schools, Providence Water. They're separate entities with their own staff and their own management. So outside of providing the Lawson environment for them to access, that's really the limit of our interactions with them.
If you guys don't mind, can I ask a follow-up question, Chief? So just to confirm, the last point that you made in terms of the limit of what we provide to PPSD, Providence Water, specific to PPSD, I think that's where most of the interest comes from in these questions. Was that the case before the state takeover, or is that something that changed while the state takeover in terms of IT involvement?
I can speak to the last 15 years that I've worked here. That has been the case all along. So we've really run separate organizations, everything completely separate. So we've been providing loss and access to them all those years. Our intention with the new ERP system is to continue to work together on the same platform. The network and access arrangement might look a little bit different at some point, but that is the intention, is to continue to work on the same ERP platform, but they continue to manage their operations.
Makes sense. Thank you. Councilor Pearson, did you have another question?
No? I think you answered it. Thank you.
Councilor Davidson, are you all set?
I mean, I have a lingering question related to all this information security sort of questions. Thank you for sort of helping us see what is happening and that we're sort of preparing. I hope that we get that grant. So you can really put pressure on the system to see what's happening. That's great. In the event, and maybe this is, out of your scope, if there were a data breach, do you have access to funding to be able to manage that? Because, I know we're aware of how thin these budgets are and how much you have to do with so little, and I worry about it. Can you just sort of speak to that possibility?
That's a fair question. With the grant that we received this year, part of that money was also spent on cyber response services. So we have 2 vendors that we are currently under contract with, that in the event of any unauthorized access into our network, that we are able to work with both of them. One of them, we have some advance money in place already, that we have hours in place that we can bill off of, and any hours that aren't used, we're using for training and system documentation and network improvement. So none of this money is going to waste. And that money is already in place today. So we do have those services available to us. The second vendor that we have is our operational security vendor, I would say. So this has to do with, it used to be antivirus, and things have evolved since then. So it's a lot more complicated than just an antivirus on your desktop computer. So the systems that we have in place on our desktops, our laptops, our servers, and our network equipment, that vendor also provides those emergency response services. So we have 2 groups that we have under contract, that we have some funds already in place to work with. And within our budget request for next year, we'll continue to support that operation.
Thank you.
You're all set, Councilwoman? Committee members, any questions for Councilman Vargas? Councilwoman Graves?
Would you help us to understand which contracts and service are included in the private contractors expenditure line item, as well as the proposed $215,000 increase over 26 approved budget? Will we be able to receive a listing?
Yeah, we can get you a breakdown, Councilwoman. The increase is attributable to the ERP consultant, so that is what that is tied to. All of the contracts that would hit 53401 that are above 50,000 are itemized here, so you can see part of that is Planet Technologies for PVD 311 system development
Okay.
at $150,000. And then we have again knowledge servicers, that is the ERP consultant for Watson, and that's $225,000. I'm not sure there's anything else in there.
Those are the major items that are included there. Some of the smaller items that we continue to use, our network wiring. We have a vendor that we maintain in place. It's less than $50,000 that we budget for each year. And
Okay.
it's just, break fix, whether there's a new office that's opening, a new police substation, for example, or something changing here in City Hall, we're moving offices around with a vendor in place to handle the wiring improvements.
Okay.
Our loss and supplemental support engineer
Okay.
current environment that we have in place today, we pay to a private contractor. I mentioned our network penetration testing, which we're expecting to be reimbursed with a grant. We have development through our Microsoft
Okay.
365 environment as well, to host Microsoft services and our GIS services. So that's all the mapping services which are used throughout the city, whether it's our tax collector and assessor's offices, DPW and parks use these services. It's all of the mapping and geographic data that we have. We have a vendor that assists us with upgrades, modifications, new features, and any new requests for that as well.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna jump in here, if you don't mind, Chief, just to get more clarity. So the 225,000 for knowledge services, that's all going to this consultant for work specifically around the new ERP process.
Yes.
Yeah, you said we're working with them right now.
Yes.
What was since when have we been working with them?
That was approved in the current fiscal year budget. I want to say it started around January.
I don't think that sounds right.
What was the contract for that?
Well, the contract that was executed is for $225,000 a year. So that's the contract that's here.
Is that that's the active contract that
That's the
they're
active,
working?
yeah, that's the active contract we have with that vendor right now. There was some funding, I would say $100,000 in fiscal year 2026.
A little more than that, because we knew that we wouldn't have them on for the full fiscal year.
Right.
So once this was approved a year ago, we began interviewing, and it took us a while to find the right person. Like I said, it started in January. We're currently paying them for about half of this fiscal year, and this is the request for next year. And it's simply, Knowledge Services is the vendor that this particular individual works. And that's a state contract for this type of services.
Okay, okay.
Councilor Vargas?
Thank you. Director, do you know how many cell phones do we have in the city that goes to every single employee?
Cell phones, I can speak to the administration side. Under the accounts that we have, there's a little more than 350 cell phones in use today.
Out of this 350, these $180,000 that we have here,
Sorry?
$180,000 here, it's only for these 350?
Yes.
If you multiply 350 times $30, that will come up with 180,000?
So roughly, so it's that is the monthly cost. Additionally, we also have iPads, tablets, and mobile hotspots in use throughout the city. So I should have included those in the total, but for cell phones that we're all used to, the devices that we have about 350 of those that are active. We do have some additional hotspots and iPads that are in use. So I know that like I said, we have inspectors throughout the city. We have people in parks and DPW that manage their work orders on an iPad. It's just larger and it's easier to use.
They're not using it. It's very hard to believe you that they're using that. Like, let's say the inspector goes out and they have to write a ticket. They're not even answer the phone when you call them. The question here is, we need to review who really need a phone and who really do not need a phone. Because if you're an admin, you don't need a cell phone from the city to be working in an office. If we follow these inspectors around, are they using the phone to do work? I'd be glad to know who's using it to use. And we here in this discussion because money is getting tight and tighter. The question here is, you're doing a great job and your department is doing a great job. You have almost 5 positions with the same name, application project manager. 5 positions with the same name. The question is that we invent every time we have a new software to help the city, but we're not eliminating the employee. But you have a new software that will help the employee to do the work. But at the same time, the software is not helping nobody. But at the same time, we need to pay more money for the software and the employee. You know those self-check machines in the Stop and Shop where you go buy grocery? You know why they put it there? To eliminate an employee. So they got 2 self-check, 1 employee goes down, 2 machine goes up. In this case, we're bringing up a lot of machines, a lot of software, a lot of money to spend when we're not eliminating employees. I'd rather keep the employee than the software. Like, we have to follow how many people are using these cell phones to come down the $180,000 just in cell phones that people don't use. They only use it to see Facebook and TikTok.
Well, if you allow me to address that, first of all, we don't allow TikTok on our city cell phones, okay? That application is blocked specifically.
Okay?
We do get monthly reports on cell phone usage. We do follow up with department heads and let them know these are the devices that are not being used. If we see very low usage in minutes or in data, every month we will reach out to that department and say, hey, here's the list of devices. What's going on? Because I don't want to continue to pay for these if they're not being used. In some cases, somebody might have been on vacation, leave of absence, there's legitimate reasons why they might be out. But in other cases, department heads will follow up with their staff and they will call me back and say, cancel the phone. So on a monthly basis, 12 times a year, we do contact department heads if these devices are not being used. Going back to initial requests for phones, iPads, and these devices, these come from department heads as well. And if there's a new employee coming on and they're replacing somebody who's leaving, and that position previously had a cell phone, they're traveling throughout the city, they're on call, whatever their operations are, I leave it up to the department head to make that request that they need a cell phone to do their job. So it's really up to the departments, and if you feel that they're not being utilized, I'd be happy to help follow up with departments and see if there's anything we can do to better use these devices or reduce their costs.
Can I jump? I have a follow-up question.
Go ahead.
Thank you. That's an important discussion. Thank you, Councilman Vargas. Because as we move forward, we definitely need to start reviewing some of these expenses and policies. So my question is just a general one, Chief, and I guess administration. I guess is there a citywide policy that states certain criteria needs to be met for an employee to receive a city-issued cell phone, or is it sounds like it's mostly discretionary, but I guess what's in place right now when it comes to the distribution of cell phones?
So we do have a policy that's in place today for cell phone and mobile device use, and that governs the acceptable use of the device itself, how it should be used for business purposes, and what should be done on it. Outside of that, in terms of who receives a cell phone, again, that comes from the department heads. And whether it's a new employee coming on, they may make a request for that employee to have a cell phone with their job. Or in some cases, if duties are changing and people are going to be working more in the field than they previously had, the department director might request cell phones for a group of existing employees. Typically, I don't chase down every individual, every new employee who's being hired and ask them, what exactly are you going to do on this phone? We leave that up to the department heads and their discretion to manage their staff and their devices. We do provide, as I said, we do provide feedback on usage on a monthly basis if we find that devices are not being used.
Let's just use April, for example. Chief, how many phones were canceled for low usage?
I don't have that.
I think Councilman Vargas, did you have?
Yeah, thank you. But you are in charge, right, Chief? You are in charge of all the cell phones in the whole city? Your department is?
So we manage the billing, the distribution, and the maintenance of the cell phones. We make sure that every cell phone that employees has, that it works on a day-to-day basis, and it has the apps that they need to do their jobs. We pay the bills as well. In terms of down to the department and employee level, what they're doing on a daily basis, how often they're calling in, or how often they're checking their application or their email or their 311 service. I don't get into that level of detail with the usage.
Please. And these cell phones, what kind of cell phone? Apple, Android, or go to the discretion of the employee? The director get an iPhone, the little employee get a shitty phone?
Typically, all of our phones are iPhones, and with the carrier plan that we have, we do get free upgrades. So once it happens on an annual basis. So Apple releases a new phone each year. Right now, their current model is a 17. We don't get iPhone 17s. We get iPhone 16s at zero cost. So we've been replacing our iPhone 11s and iPhone 12s with iPhone 16s at zero cost. Okay, that's part of the plan that we have. That's the plan that we've had for several years. It's not typically available to consumers, but with the volume that we have here in the city, the plan that we have in the city, we're able to get the devices at no cost. And every device under our plan is an Apple iPhone.
Thank you, Chief, but we need to work more on those cell phones. It's kind of waste. If you have to, please look deeper, because if the employee doesn't need a cell, why won't we give him a cell? That's a saving for the city. Another question I have is, we have $150,000 for PVD 311 system. This application is not a friendly application. You waste a lot of time to do a report, something on the phone, to go into it. It's asked so many questions that doesn't go with a report that you're trying to do, to report a pothole or trash. It's not a friendly website. If you can work on this system, because $150,000 to 311 system is another waste of money in that department. It's better off you hire a person and for $70,000 and pick up the phone and write something on it and make another phone call to another department than have people doing online, because it's not a friendly website. Could be for you because you're always on the computer, but for grandma who's there like 40 years old, or people who's been working in this country for more than 40 years, trying to report something, plus if you're driving, it's better off to make a phone call hands-free to the 311, but if you want people to go online, it's not working. You can ask for the report and you will tell me this, Councilman, I will get it to you later. That doesn't work either. I don't trust you guys that will give me that report later. But you can dig into it and say, give me the report, how many reports that we have online. You won't see much, but you get phone calls every day. I think it's better off to hire another employee in the 311 system, cut off the system or the website, the contract, whatever you have, and pay somebody, because you will benefit more. Paying a person will make a family happy than these companies that we throwing a lot of money into it.
What's that?
What's that?
Thank you. I'm sorry, Chief, did you want to respond to that, or?
So,
I guess my question is, how come the new 311, like, I know you can make it an app by downloading the website and stuff, but how come it's not like an app that you can just find on the App Store?
so that was a decision made several years ago. And the industry is kind of going in both directions now, where they're building responsive web pages that you simply bookmark on your phone. It works in any device. We don't have to pay licensing fees. We don't have to have a separate Apple and Android version. If we make a update to the site, everybody receives that update immediately. So if we make a change on a case type, or something changes in navigation, or any improvements in the workflow of the system, we make that change in our website, which you can see on your desktop and laptop. That also happens immediately on your cell phone. Previously, what we needed to do is make the change on the website, then go into the Apple design, make the changes there, upload that, wait for Apple's approval, and then push out the updates through the App Store. Similarly, we would have to go through the Google Play Store, make the updates on that platform, wait for Google's approval, and then push out those updates. Not all devices, as phones get a little bit older, not all devices could get the new updates, and so some apps ended up getting out of date. Some people wouldn't allow apps to download, and they wouldn't always have the latest version. So now, every time you go to PVD 311 on a phone, an Apple phone, an Android phone, or your desktop or laptop, you are always using the latest version of the software.
That really makes so much sense. I wish I would have known this for the past, how long has it been since we distributed? This is the biggest complaint I've gotten with the newest update. As a user, you go online and it does seem a little more user-friendly, but when people were so used to that app-specific tool, I did not have an answer for them, but now I do, so I thank you for that.
We also have, I just want to remind everyone that the number, if you're within City of Providence limits, and you call 311 on your phone, that does reach the Mayor's Center for City Services. And you're driving, you don't have time to start fiddling with your phone or device. You can just speak to a person. Someone will pick up the phone, tell them, what it is that you came across as a pothole or a sign or anything that you have. They in turn enter that request in the 311 platform. So it is still routed and tracked, and we can report and we can manage our response to requests that come in over the phone. So we always have that option available to call 311 and report incidents as well.
Right. Awesome, thank you. Are you guys all set, committee members? Thank you, Chief, appreciate you.
Thank you.
Save on that, so we start communication, and then roll out those awards.
Yes.
And we'll end up blaming everyone, that's.
Thank you.
Motion to enter exhibit 27 into the record.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilwoman Pearson, second by Councilwoman Davidson. All those in favor, say aye. All those in nay. Ayes have it.
So I'm going to invite our controller, Dazagoli, and Administrator Rios up to join us at the table. I think it might be helpful to swear the director in since she was a little bit of a late arrival.
Of course.
Say that's not what I want.
Thank you.
Just know that the approach we take is more about to give is the truth, the whole truth. I do.
Please state your name and your title.
Sarah is very fine. The controller's budget can be found on page 101 of your budget book. And retirement is a couple pages later. So again, I'm joined by our controller, Dr. Bellini, our deputy controller could not make it today, our pension administrator, Jill Rios, who will walk through their budget details and then open up questions that we can do. Because both divisions report to the city and school controller, they share one org chart, so that's why it's kind of flat so for departments. The controller's office does generate a modest amount of revenue. It's budgeted at $20,000 in fiscal year 2027, which is a $5,000 increase over the fiscal year 2026 budget of $15,000. This revenue is generated from a life insurance policy that the city had issued prior to 2001, and there are dividends that are paid on an annual basis. Last year's, or in fiscal year 2025, those dividends came in at $20,000, so we're budgeting $20,000 next fiscal year. Total proposed expenditures in this department are $1,854,406. This is a $35,824 increase over the fiscal year 2026 budget of $1,818,582, or just under 2%. In fiscal year 2026, salaries were budgeted at $1,033,055. We are not proposing any changes to salaries or FTE counts in this department. And as such, fiscal 2027 salaries are both adjusted for cost of living increases for $36,157 and step increases for $8,440. For total proposed fiscal year 2027 salaries of $1,077,652. The controller's office does have a very modest budget and no contracts above $50,000. Most of their line items are considered discretionary. However, they are pretty critical operational features. Their first discretionary line item is fees not classified. This is staff parking at the Civic Center garage for their non-union employees. Their next and largest line item is postage, which is increasing by $5,000 next fiscal year. This is the postage for mailing all of our accounts payable and payroll checks as well as W-2s. Yes, thank you. And any and all tax forms that are moving through this office. There is a level funded $5,000 for professional development. Our controller is a CPA and is required to take courses to maintain his status, and so the city covers the cost of those courses on his behalf. Office supplies, miscellaneous expenses, and repairs to office equipment are all level funded in nominal amounts, as is copier and lease maintenance. The miscellaneous expenses, we probably should be shifting to a more descriptive line in the future. That is shredding services that are required for the department to handle quite a few confidential materials, so they need to pay for a complete to shred their documents. That rounds out the controller's line items. The retirement office line items are also very small in nature. They begin on page 109 of your budget book. Total proposed expenditures for the retirement office are $664,801. This represents a $24,647 increase over the fiscal year 2026 budget of $640,154. Total salaries for retirement office in fiscal year 2026 were budgeted at $353,468. We are making adjustments in fiscal year 2027 for cost of living increases at $21,502, step increases at $9,371, for total proposed salaries of $384,341. This is another department that does not have any contracts over $50,000. However, all of their line items have been broken into fixed and discretionary line items. Under the first discretionary cost, this fees not classified. This is staff parking for the pension administrator. There is also a discretionary line item for postage. This office is required to mail out several certified packages to our retirees and does incur some postage costs as well as mailing retirement checks and 299R forms at the end of the calendar year. Their fixed cost is the audit, which is a death audit service, which while sounds morbid is required for the retirement office. This is oftentimes how we find that individuals are no longer eligible for pension checks, and so it's really important that we continue to maintain those registries and active employee listing and retired listing. Under the supply line items, there's again, no changes to any of these. We have $1,400 allocated for office supplies for the department. Miscellaneous expenses is a small amount of $240. This is notary renewals. All of the staff in that office are are considered notaries, and they are eligible to notarize documents for retirees. Repairs to office equipment. If you don't know what electric is, I encourage you to go on a field trip to the retirement office. It is a gigantic file cabinet that is like mechanically driven, so it rotates the files on our behalf. And that we need to repair those, occasionally. And this year we actually had to repair one of them, so we do budget $1,700 for the maintenance of those large file cabinets. And the last line item is copier and lease maintenance, which is a small budget of less than $3,000. And that rounds out the controller's office and retirement.
Thank you, Crystal. Controller, pension administrator, do you guys just want to give us a quick overview on the work that you guys do? Any needs, any concerns in this budget? Absolutely, take your time.
Yes. Thank you, Councilman. So yes, I'm the city and school controller. My office is responsible for a number of transactional operations throughout the city. That includes our payroll, our accounts payable, our retirement office, and our fiscal office, which is responsible for all the journal entries we do in addition to the functions that are part of our subsystems. I'm also personally responsible, along with the deputy controller, of being the point person for our annual audit and also our single audit, which is basically the same as the audit, but it focuses more on the federal and state grants. I also am responsible for making sure that transactions involving all the employees who have outside retirement accounts, their 457 plans, their 403B plans. I'm responsible for authorizing those transactions, so every time you make a contribution, if anything were to go wrong, I would hear it from your carrier or Omni, who's our third-party authorization company. Basically, my role in all of this is obviously a managerial role. However, we have a lot of situations come up where there's new legislation under GASB. That's where my CPA training comes in, and I have to stay up to date on the current regulations and statements. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act, for example, was a huge...
We don't call it that around here.
Whatever you want to call it, it was it created a new wrinkle at year end that we hadn't had to deal with in previous years with overtime. So yeah, a big part of my job is just staying educated and making sure that our operations reflect that education. In addition to that, my office is responsible for all of the city's internal controls. So anytime we add a new person who has access to our bank, I have to make sure that their bank access that the treasurer gives them makes sense with the account that they're going to be doing or depositing to or whatever it may be. That includes the city, the school, the water department, the planning department, and also some of our PPBA accounts, which actually a new function of our office is going to be keeping the PPBA books up to date. That's a new feature this year, after we weren't particularly satisfied with the work we were getting from their old accounting firm. My office has agreed to take on that responsibility as well to ensure a smooth audit at the year end. And your office is a whole different ball of wax. I'll let Jill speak about the retirement office.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jill Rios. I'm the pension administrator. In my office, we actually work with different types of people. We actually work with active employees and also retirees from both City of Providence and school department, minus the teachers, because they actually pay into the state retirement. So we service, our services are for active employees if they want to buy back time, if they started with the city, for instance, as a temp. They have the option to come to our office and we can help them and guide them into how that process works in purchasing their time. The same goes with Providence police and firefighters. If they're away on military time or they're on academy time as well, they can purchase that time and make up contributions, things like that. For the retirees, we assist them with, well, from the moment that they are transitioning from being active employees into retirees, we guide them into that process and making sure that's a smooth process. We work with our third-party actuary that helps us with the calculation process on the finalization of that. And what else? What else am I forgetting? It's just like so much. Oh, and we also handle the disability pensions cases. Any employees that are injured on the job or develop any kind of health issue that's not job related, they can come into our office and fill out an application, and we start the process in trying to book them specialists that do eye needs. And it gets presented to the retirement, before the retirement board to be heard. That's another function that we do in our office. Oh, we also do retirement loans. When employees have already worked for the city or the school department for 3 years, they have the option of calling our office and scheduling an appointment to borrow against their retirement, depending on how much they can borrow, and that gets processed, and they get to, and we communicate a lot with the active city payroll department as well, in that process when they do retirement loans, things like that.
Thank you. Are you seeing more and more employees taking that option of taking a loan against their retirement, or is that something you don't see that often?
I have actually noticed in the past couple of weeks an influx of more retirement loan appointments, yes.
I'm sorry, are you all set?
Oh, yes.
Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you guys. Any questions, committee members? Councilman Vargas?
Thank
As
you.
long as it's not about cell phones.
I don't understand.
No, they don't use cell phones, because
That's why you don't answer.
they don't go in. Sorry, Administration Jill, right? That's your name, Jill? How old these employees are, the people who's coming to get loans? How old, like, figure out, 50s, 60s, 70s?
Actually,
40s?
there's no we don't really actually know the range. Whenever we make an appointment, we don't look at demographics that way. We more see where they're from, either school or city of Providence.
Or, can I?
Of course.
Can I change the question? How many years they got left to retire when they come to do the loan?
That's a good question.
Hmm.
I actually haven't seen people come in where they just got vested 10 years and have the age requirement, or a few of them that are almost there, you know, they might have a year left or two. Yeah, and they want to plan ahead, they come in and then fire. Smart.
Go ahead.
I have some complaints about the retirement department. I don't know if that falls into you guys. The youth department is not paying attention to the people who's getting retired and helping them how to process or do the process for them to start getting the money right away. Is something that you guys can figure out what's going on with your department, because when they retire, they don't, especially today's day, they barely making it when they retire, they get fired. If we can accelerate the process and help these people how to do it better and faster, for you guys to approve all the paperwork and they can they can just start getting the check.
How long does the process take? How long does that process take in general?
So typically the part that the retirement office controls takes about 60 days. There are other factors involved that are outside of our control. For example, sometimes, and this is every year this happens, not sometimes, at the end of the calendar year and at the end of the fiscal year, there's always a huge surge of retirements. And that's because a lot of people will stay on until January 1st, get their vacation time dumped out, and then retire. And then a lot of times there are people, particularly with the school department, who will retire at the end of the school year. So every June 30th, we'll say, there's a huge line of people. There isn't a whole lot we can do to control that flow. So that the window at that time, those times, the window might be slightly longer than normal. But we do prioritize those calculations getting done above all else when that time of year comes around. So that's one thing. Another thing is we're relying on a separation form. We receive that from either the school department's HR department, our own HR department, or the public safety, or the water HR department. Usually that is relatively quick, but for some cases, especially if somebody's been on leave, or it could be a number of things. It could be little, and that can take that can take months sometimes. I've seen it for months. That's another thing.
And who signs the form, the director?
Yeah.
Of which department?
Yes. Lastly, no, not lastly, sorry, there's two more factors that I want to include. One is, so we've done the calculation, we received the paperwork, we've done the calculation. We send it out to the third party actuary to confirm our numbers are correct. Usually that's pretty quick, maybe about a week. But occasionally, for whatever reason, we don't know what goes on in their office. Sometimes it will take 2-3 weeks. So that can add time. And then the last piece is, once we've gotten that paperwork back from the retirement office, my staff mails out the retirement package. And in order for a retiree to collect their pension, they have to not only send back the retirement package, they have to send back the benefits package. Because benefits and retirement, your benefits and pension are all part of your same check. And when you get your first one, you're going to be getting usually a few months of retroactive pay. So we want to make sure the retroactive pay and retroactive benefits are on the same check. So you don't get $0 every next year. Does that make sense? So if we get a retiree who sends back their retirement package, they may think that they are entitled to receive their first pension check. They may not have gotten or sent back their benefits package, so we can't add them to the payroll. And we do tell them that they have to send those back in order to go onto the payroll. But it's not always easy to track down who has an outstanding retirement package or who has an outstanding benefits package and notify them on a weekly or whatever basis. So there's things outside of our control that we try our best to mitigate, but we can't always catch them all.
In an accounting person can help the retired guy, employee, like
Repeat that?
any accounting person can help the person who's getting retired.
Yes.
Absolutely.
If you please tell whoever's going to be retired, contact your account person to make more easy for them to do the paperwork. Because that's what's missing.
I just want to add that we do sit down with every potential retiree. We always urge them to make an appointment with us and maybe sit down, come in and sit down, we explain everything in detail. And we always, at the end, before they leave the room, we always tell them, speak to your financial advisor or an accountant before, you take your option. Because it is a life-changing decision.
Even if this employee got fired, It's the same process?
They got fired?
Yeah,
Is
I don't,
it-
yeah,
Well, if
as
they
long as
didn't
they
lose their
qualify,
pen,
yeah, as long as they qualify for a pension, yes, they are still treated the same.
If they haven't broken any laws
Right,
or something that would disqualify.
okay. Thank you, I'm not going to retire yet.
You have to be here forever.
I have thoughts about retirement, but,
Better start saving more money though. Thank you.
Vice Chair Taylor?
So just quickly, I just want to give kudos because I retired 11 years ago. You guys said I weren't there. But it is, it hasn't changed. Everything that I've seen, when I was retired, wanted to go, I went down, they gave me the numbers, I knew what I was getting. And I knew, but it also, I knew it's going to take 3 to 6 months before I get your first pension check. And it is right. It's always the same. It's been 11 years ago when I retired, it took me 6 months. But I got my retro for my sick time, my vacation time, so that carried me up for 6 months until I got the pension. But, where was I going now?
The question, if you don't have a mortgage, you don't have a.
Well, you got a plan, that's why you go down and get your numbers, you figure like me, I had to go down and get my numbers, see how much my ex-wife was getting, see how much I was getting. And, go from that, and then, you know, I decided to retire, and then, you know, I'm not retired, I'm still working, so. But as far as the only other thing is the benefit wise, and I'm not there yet, at 65, but the things that I hear a lot as retired firemen and police, that I guess they're very confused when they go to Medicare because there's so many plans, and then I guess there's two different people out there. There's one that had the lawsuit, one that didn't have a lawsuit, and like it's very confusing. Like I said, I'm not there yet. I got a few years before I get there to see what's going to change, but I don't know if we could make that somehow, like you could give them a booklet or something. I don't know what we could do to try to solve that.
It's not part of our office.
Okay. All right, that's the only argument that I've heard as far as benefit.
Some of the benefits is as difficult to understand for me as it is for you.
Right.
And I work in finance, but I feel I share your pain sometimes. But I do, they are helpful when I can, you know, sit down with them and they explain it to me. But I understand where you're coming from. It's
All right,
difficult
so
to
sorry about
understand.
that.
That's
But
okay.
also on the other thing with the loan, when people take out loans, they can do it after a certain amount, but it's a loan on their money. So when you retire, like I had a loan because I got divorced, I had to pay my ex-wife out, and I had to pay that loan off before, I didn't have to, but I wanted to pay the loan off, so I'm not worried about it. So I know what my pension is, and that's the numbers that they gave me, with or without loan, and you know what I mean, so it's very, plus also in defense of the retirement part, a lot of people retire and they move, and they go to Florida, or they go to North Carolina, South Carolina, they neglect to give retirement their number, their address, so retirement sends to the address in Providence, or wherever, Johnson, Rhode Island, they don't get it, right? So now they call and say, where's my pen on that? Well, you didn't give the address that you moved, so a lot of it is, a
Communication.
lot of the problems we hear is because of people aren't doing what they should
Human
be doing,
error.
right?
If we could get everybody on direct deposit tomorrow, we would, but.
But I don't see that in 11 years that it's changed for the better or the worse. I think it's always been the same. So I'm trying to tell Oscar, don't beat you up too much.
We appreciate the lived experience examples. Yes, sir. Counselor Peterson?
Thank you. So last week, while we were in committee, actually, we all got word that the schools are coming back. And I just was curious to know if your job has exponentially gotten harder, or have you kind of already been doing all of this work and there really isn't too much of a transition for you?
To be determined. If anything, I think it will make my life a little easier because we'll have a little more control over the direct day-to-day operations of how they run their payroll, of how they're creating their POs. A lot of, like I said, my office is responsible for internal controls. The school currently has a school controller, even though I'm the city and school controller. What that means, I'll let you speculate on that. But basically, we have lost some control
Question.
throughout the takeover. Yes.
Just to clarify, so before the state takeover, there was only one controller, which was your position for both entities. during the takeover, PPSD RIDE hired a separate controller. And now we're trying to figure out which way to move forward, right?
So pre-intervention, the city and school finances, and I'm just gonna take this one because I lived in the building at the time, were very integrated. The school's chief financial officer or highest financial position was known as the school business manager. It was a wonderful human by the name of Michael D'Antuono. He was really my mentor in a lot of ways. He was also the city's controller. And so we had a relationship where the chief kind of finance person responsible for the entire school budget was also ingrained in city. He was a CPA, he did everything by the book. Again, I enjoyed working for that man tremendously. And so we had a very cohesive and kind of integrated controllership, as our state likes to refer to it as. And so, for example, payroll, there was one payroll supervisor for city and school payroll. Now, I don't know that that's ideal because there's just so many contracts, it's really complicated. But I do know that when the divestiture happened, there was the creation of a school payroll supervisor directly, so that is an individual there who's running the school payroll, she's doing a phenomenal job. They created an assistant school payroll position, I'm not sure if that's still there or not. However, they also created a school controller and retained the deputy school controller. So previously we had a city and school controller, we had a deputy on the school side and a deputy on the city side. And then he was also responsible for school finances. I will admit that was way too much for one human to do, so I don't think that is the ideal state, but I do think that we are gonna need to figure out kind of what is ideal. Throughout the entire state takeover, the city has maintained, and Dante has been the signatory on all of the school checks. And I can tell you, when I was in that role, it did make me a bit uncomfortable to know that my name was literally on $600 million that I had little oversight over. And so I think that is something that we're gonna have to continue to work through. Luckily, we do have a good working relationship with the individuals over there. It's been the same kind of group of people this entire term, and so I think we'll be able to work really well together. It's just kind of a matter of starting that work. I think being in limbo, for lack of a better word, for the past year has made it a little bit harder because we've had city folks kind of working on transitioning, working on planning, saying this is gonna happen. And I think at least the folks I've worked with in the district, the kind of on the boots on the ground kind of folks, have been told, no, this isn't actually happening. And so it's been hard to actually get momentum and move things forward and actually start working together because the people you need to partner with think that this is never gonna be a reality for them. And so, we're at May 26th, it's getting very real, and there's gonna be a lot of work to do. But I do feel very strongly with the controller and trust too that nothing is gonna change immediately on 7/1. It's just gonna be a matter of how we work together and how we really whether that will change.
Councilor Peterson?
I would, as you kind of navigate all of this, and I know that it's a little bit too late because we have our PPSD meeting coming Thursday, but I would love feedback on just how that's gonna be, that transition kind of happens. I'm sure it's all very much on many of our minds how all of this is going to play out. So, just would love your feedback. How's it going? Just let us know.
Just to add, that doesn't require a response, right?
No, not at all.
Just to add on, because a few councilors have mentioned to me, and I just want to make it clear to everyone in this room, while PPSD is going to be before us on Thursday, I expect that won't be the last time that they're before us in the next couple weeks, months. So if there's anything that develops after Thursday, please bring it to the committee, bring it to Councilor Davidson, who has a question or a comment.
Thank you, Chairman, I do. Just want a little clarification on what you said before, the different understandings of what PPSD-based finance personnel had and what city-based finance personnel had. Can you say a little bit more about that? What those different perceptions were, or maybe why those different perceptions were, just so I understand.
I think that in my opinion, in interacting with school staff, they felt that the likelihood of the city assuming local control on July 1st was slim to none. I had heard that the soonest the city would regain local control would be October of 2026, maybe. And so I do believe that is kind of at least that was what was reiterated to me, and that is what was kind of hard to build some momentum on for these trainings, was the assumption that this would not happen.
Thank you for clarifying that. That was pretty close to what I understood, but I wanted to make sure I was really getting it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Controller, administrator, we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
We'll definitely be staying in touch, controller.
Yeah, we're right here.
I'm gonna use the restroom very quickly.
Not
I
allowed.
want to take a minute or two while the meeting continues to be recorded.
I have some documents from.
Good job.
Good job.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, of course. Let me ask you. Okay. Yeah, certainly. I know most of your budget ordinances and the proposed budget book is online already, so it's public. It's, okay, there's nothing, I guess I'm saying I wouldn't be getting trade secrets earlier. They're all there. Yeah, I'll put together, a little package to you online. I'll send it to the clerks, I'll have them send it to the committee of just the documents I have that I know they're public. I can do just try to do like a brief description of the cars. Because they always a little different. Yeah, sure.
That's gonna be.
That's how old I am.
Well,
I was hotter.
Motion to enter exhibit 28 into the record.
so
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Taylor, seconded by Councilwoman Peterson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. City Collector, how are we today?
How's it going?
Their budget line items are on page 97 of the budget book. Please, I'm looking at those. I am joined with our city collector, Maria Manzanillo. We also have additional collector staff in our audience. Get ready to go through this. Okay. So the tax collector's office is a revenue generating department. Their revenue is generated from tax sale collections, which were were reduced by $25,000 in fiscal year 2027, as well as municipal lien certificates, which are level funded at $104,661. Total proposed expenditure in the collector's office are $2,417,561. This represents a $5,047 increase over the fiscal year 2026 budget of $2,412,514. The collector's office is not proposing any changes to staff compensation or FTEs. Fiscal 2026 salaries were budgeted $916,431. We are adjusting fiscal 2027 salaries for cost of living increases at $32,075 and step increases for $9,305 for a total proposed fiscal year 2027 salaries of $957,811. The department's budget has a few large line items. We do have a couple of contracts over $50,000, which are included on the next slide. All of their line items are considered discretionary. The first up is fees not classified. This is our municipal collection agency. They have community collections on our tax bills. This is Rossi Law, which is also another tax collection agency. We have postage, which is required to mail all of our tax bills and delinquent notifications and other documents coming out of the collector's office at $55,000 times level funded. Providence Journal, and actually this should be considered a fixed cost, is $15,000. This is for advertising and the tax sale in the Providence Journal and required statutorily. Dues and subscriptions are level funded $840,000, as are printing and private contractors. There are no changes there. There is a small increase to examining titles based on historical trends and increased costs of $9,600 for a total budget of $144,000. Additionally, there is a level funding of $8,000 for auctioneer services. This is the online service that we provide for the tax sale. There are a few supply line items in this budget. We have office supplies at $2,720, which is unchanged from fiscal year 2026. Stationery has a small increase. The stationery line items is their copy machine as well as branded materials. They send out a lot of mails and notifications, and so they need branded, envelopes and letterhead, those sorts of things, to send out professional correspondence. And then there's an application of $2,000 in miscellaneous. This is funding for counterfeit detection machines, which should be replaced. Their contracts of $50,000 have been summarized on our final slide here. The first is Municipal Collection Agency. They do tax collections on our behalf, and they have a contract for $440,000. The next vendor contract is split between two account codes. This is JLS Mailing Services. We charge the printing to the printing line item and the mailing to the postage line item, and their contract is executed at $78,000 for next fiscal year. And the last is an attorney that's contracted through the solicitor's office. Their name is Albert Romano, and they do title searches and deed preparation for us, and we estimate they need to spend $120,000 for that next fiscal year. And that wraps up the tax collectors budget.
The floor is yours. If you have anything you want to share, I know you might.
I am Maria, so.
We appreciate you.
Thank
like
you.
the rest of you know.
Thank you for having me. So the department is responsible for the issuance of tax bills as assessed by the assessor's office. We're also obviously responsible for the collection of real estate, tangible, and delinquent motor vehicle taxes, as we know that we don't have a motor vehicle tax in the island anymore. We're also responsible for the issuance of municipal lien certificates for attorneys and title companies. Those are statement of taxes due, and those are required by state law for any any closings or transfers, refinances of properties. We also work with the Bureau license for clearances for business licenses. All taxes must be counted to issue renewals or clearance for new license. In addition to that, we also conduct a yearly tax sale, and that's once a year, usually after the fourth quarter collection period.
Awesome, thank you.
We also record our revenue, and we call back to the treasurer and control office.
Awesome, thank you. Question, Vice Chair Taylor?
Have we seen tax sales go up, level off? Where do we stand on it?
Pretty level off the last couple of years. Probably the lowest number of properties since pre-COVID, where the numbers were much higher.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Peterson?
Thank you, sorry, I'm sorry. I'm looking at your operational costs, and it looks like there was a change in auctioneer services. Did we just not use auctioneer services from 26 to 27? Is that what it was?
No, we've been using auctioneer services since COVID, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Outside vendor.
Oh, there was no, you know what, I'm reading it wrong, sorry. There was no change, is what it was. Never mind, just kidding. Okay, that was my question, sorry.
Councilor Vargas?
Thank you. Same question, Director, on the auctioneers. Are we still taking biddings online?
Yes, it's conducted, it's an online sale, almost works like an eBay So the online auctioneer conducts the tax sale.
Online.
Bids are accepted online, yes.
We pass an ordinance saying that no more online.
Brenda, do you remember?
What's the question?
The question is because I remember that we passed an ordinance saying that we don't want to accept no more online bidding outside the state. Because online, anybody from California, Los Angeles, anybody can bid and buy the property.
As far as I know, that was not included in the ordinance, I believe.
Hang on one second. I think we're paused.
Do you swear under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And please state your name and your title for the record.
Brandon Welch, policy analyst for the Providence City Council. Excuse me, on that particular matter, the council last year passed an amendment to the code of ordinances that would limit the number of tax sales that an individual purchaser could in fact buy at a tax sale, but did not eliminate online tax sales. There's currently legislation before the General Assembly to limit online tax sales to those done in person, but that has not passed and been enacted, so there is no prohibition in the city of Providence against an online tax sale. The amendment last year, or the amendment to the code of ordinances, was amended in committee to remove any online tax sale ban and only limit the number of properties that can purchase a tax sale.
Thank you, Brandon. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Director, the advertising marketing, is any way that we can use any source or Latino communication
Good question.
when they use, I'm losing my house, and you guys just put in the journal? The Latino community doesn't know where the journal is. Let's be clear. We have to have a better communication, use a Latino newspaper or anything to reach out the Latino community, because that might be the issue, that they send the bill to a different address or didn't got it, and now he's losing the property because there's no communication between that your department and the community.
So there's a series of notifications that are required by law. The tax sale is actually a 90-day process. And they tax homeowners as well as any lien holders, banks, anyone who has an interest in the policy, in the property itself, receives a series of notifications during that 90-day period leading up to tax sale. So they would have been notified via a notice. That notice clearly on the top line in Spanish notates that, this is a very important notice, have it translated. So there are a series of those notifications that go out to taxpayers. As far as in the journal, we're required by state law to post it in the journal. And it's also posted at 3 public places. But, I mean, I guess it's something that we can take a look at and we can research.
So you're telling me that state mandate your department to do the journal?
All of the notification and deadline requirements for tax sale are all mandated by state law.
In this, can I? Sorry. And so in this case, to go to a different news source, like in the Latino community, we need a permission from the state, or you can make this, you can make that decision?
I'm just letting you know what our requirements are. That is something I can certainly look into.
Because I remember that 3 years ago, we talked about this, and this same table, to use a different communication to reach out the Latino community. and I haven't seen no change. Because we say everything this table, and after that door, we forgot. Please, let's try a little harder. And use a Latino news reporter, or anybody, to reach out to the Latino group. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Davidson?
Thank you, Chair. Hi. I would love to know a little bit more about the collections from Rossi and the other firm that you use. It seems pretty level from year to year, right around 500,000. Is there, when we negotiate that contract, is there a cap on the fees that are associated with that? Like, just tell me a little bit more about that fee
So
structure.
it is a sliding scale, so the collections really dictate what they get paid, so it's a percentage. Depending upon the age of the bill, whether it's in litigation, whether it's just collections. So it could go anywhere from, I believe it's 12% to 18% of whatever is collected. So if they don't perform and they don't collect, they don't get paid.
Okay.
And at the current time, and they only collect tangible in whatever motor vehicle taxes are still out there from when motor vehicle taxes.
Yeah. So it could go above 500.
It could go above 500, but it hasn't. It's pretty much stayed right around that or below. But obviously, if they didn't collect a certain amount, that number would go down.
Okay, thank you for helping me understand that.
So, just to build up that question, if you don't mind, so this 500 is tied to our collection rate?
It's tied to their collections, what they collect, based upon what is referred to them. So if we refer accounts to them, okay, that line item is based on their collection, what they collect. So if they don't collect anything, they don't get paid.
All right, the only other questions I have, are regarding, is there 2 vacancies in your department right now, or what?
That's what I'm sorry.
How many vacancies are there?
I have 2 vacancies, but we have a posting that just came down today, so we'll be interviewing next week.
For both of those?
Yes.
Awesome. How long have they been vacant?
That's long, about a month, so we had several of our staff members that moved on to other departments.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry, maybe one
So,
last super quick question.
Yes, sorry, Director. This Rossi collector guy, do we pay him by percentage or
The
we?
same thing. It works the same as with the municipal collection agency, it's a percentage.
It's a percentage, so he collect $100, he get $2 out of the 100?
They'll get whatever the percentage, depending upon where it is in the collections. So in other words, if it sends out one notice, it's one rate, but say it goes to litigation, then it's a different rate.
Which is the rate?
I believe it's 25%.
Well, I better go into that business then. Thank you,
So they don't get paid unless they get it.
Thank you so much.
thank you.
I want to call you a director, but I feel like a city controller, is that how do you, or a city collector?
Now we call them Madam Clerk.
The collector? Madam collector?
Madam collector,
You sound like an action hero.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job.
I don't have that. I don't have that one.
No, I think.
Okay.
Motion to enter exhibit 29 into the record.
Oh, so moved.
Seconded.
Awesome,
We're on it.
we're getting there, team. Motion made by Councilwoman Peterson, second by Councilor Davidson. All those in favor? Aye. Any nays? Ayes have it.
That's it.
Crystal, I think we are ready for you.
Perfect. The assessor's budget can be found on page 92 of the budget book. I am joined with our city assessor, Denise Kelly, and our deputy assessor, Michael Murphy. This department is not budgeted to receive any revenue in fiscal year 2027. However, in fiscal year 2026, we had budgeted $300,000 to be reimbursed from the HRR statistical revaluation. We have not yet received that reimbursement, but we will work with the state to try to improve those funds. Total proposed expenditures in the assessor's office are $2,733,247. This is a $585,653 increase over the fiscal year 2026 budget at $2,147,594, or about 27%. As we will see later in this is tied to the upcoming full revaluation process, which is going to be quite interesting. Total salaries in fiscal year 2026 are budgeted at $1,228,619. In fiscal year 2027, we're making adjustments for cost of living increases for $43,002 and step increases for $10,224 for total proposed fiscal year 27 salaries of $1,281,845. This budget has been broken into fixed and discretionary costs. The vast majority of these costs are considered discretionary and are unchanged from fiscal year 2026 to fiscal year 2027. The first line item in the discretionary column is fees unclassified. This is staff parking for eligible non-union employees at the Civic Center Garage. Additionally, there is a level funding of $4,000 for postage for any mailing that needs to send out. Dues and subscriptions or professional memberships for the department have been level funded at $4,335. There's a small increase of $800 for printing costs, which has been supported by trend. There's also a small increase in private contractors, again supported by historical trends. That line item is going up by a little over $1,400. The biggest increase we see here is your contract services and training. This is a portion, I want to say 40% of the estimated cost of the full revaluation. The assessor is beginning that work next fiscal year, so she's trying to spread that cost over multiple fiscal years rather than absorbing it in one fiscal year. I believe this pricing was based on the last time we had a full revaluation, so we are basing on our historical costs. Office supplies have been level funded at $4,000. There's a small increase to uniforms and wearing apparel because we will have assessors out on the road knocking on people's doors. I think it's really important that they're wearing City of Providence apparel and not branded. It's a safety feature for both our residents and our employees. So we think it's important to include this in the budget next year. And copier and lease maintenance is going up by a small amount based on a new contract they have in place. There are no contracts today over $50,000. However, they are in the process of building the RFP for the full revaluation, and that will be going to board of contract and supply at some point this
What, sorry, I missed it, what reevaluation?
the full revaluation of all of the properties. It's due in 2027. Yep.
Yeah, maybe when the assessor goes, she can explain what the difference between a full evaluation is and what we've been going through.
Wonderful. That does round out my presentation, so I will turn it over to Denise. That's perfect timing, and she can talk through what she does and revaluation processes.
Madam Assessor?
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me. So I'm Denise Muscatelli, I'm the city assessor. Our sole responsibility is maintaining all of the real property assessment records as well as personal property, or better known as tangible property records for the city. We process about, we review about 8,000 permits every year. We review about 4,000 deed transfers every year. We maintain all of the city property records. That includes preparing pilot reports of state reimbursement, tax stabilization agreements, appeals, first level, second level, and those that go to Superior Court. And as Crystal has mentioned, we're also in charge of the evaluation cycles. We just concluded statistical analysis reval, and we're already preparing for the full evaluation. The biggest difference between the Chairman and you asked for the difference between the two. The biggest difference between the two is that a statistical analysis doesn't require us to go door to door, where a full evaluation does require us to go door to door, which means we want to go and visit as many properties as we can throughout the city, hopefully gain entry. However, with that said, I am looking at doing a different approach because entry rates are almost nothing nowadays. People don't want you on their property, they don't want you inside their properties, and I understand that. So what we did is we contracted with a company called Pushpin that compared flyover data of the entire city. And my staff right now is working on that in preparation of the new evaluation that we're going on to bid for. And what that detection does is flag us to review our property records. Has there been additions put on the property? Has something been demolished or notified? It goes down to the smallest scale of there was a driveway put in. We don't particularly care about driveways, just to give you an idea of how in detail this flyover service is. The results were around 6,500, I believe, change records. So as of right now, my staff is reviewing all 6,500 of those records to see which ones are valid, do actually need our further input, going up to those properties ahead of schedule to inspect, hopefully be able to get some entry with those property owners, explain to them why we're here. We're trying to get ahead of the data collection process to work more collaboratively with whoever wins the award for the evaluation services. I'm hoping by doing this, we can restructure some of the contract terms and save the city some money on the cost. Because obviously, when we ask them to visit 44,000 properties, it's a cost per property. And they don't get into it, they don't get into those properties, so it's like a kind of cost that we're wasting money for taxpayers' money. So if I'm able to do more in-house work and provide better data outputs for the analysis, supported by the revaluation company, I think that would be a better use of funds and time and better results in the long run.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think, me personally speaking, I definitely support that method. Yeah, like you said, I think getting strangers to go into people's homes these days is a big challenge. Councilman Vargas says that you guys can go inside his home though. If you need a trial and error property.
We've already been there. Michael's already visited the property.
That's awesome.
I gotta
Just
check
bring your
that.
cell phone so we can call.
I don't have a cell phone. Put it on record.
And don't even think about taking a city vehicle.
Very
I
excited.
don't have that either.
Just a quick question in regards
Of course,
to
Councilman Peterson.
this. Is it the tax assessor's office employees that are gonna be doing this, or are you contracting out people to do the work of going and visiting homes?
It's going to be collaborative.
Okay.
My city of principal staff is going to have a bigger role in the process.
Okay.
And they're currently preparing for that with this pushing technology that we receive results from already. So as we go out to bid, the contract is going to be tailored to include the assistance of my in-house appraisal staff.
Okay. Thank you.
I just have a clarifying question. Just to remind me, or maybe I don't know, when is the last time we did the full assessment?
A full, it was in 2018.
Thank you.
Councilman Vargas?
It's a question like, last time that we did a reevaluation, the properties went up from 150 to 300,000 each. Somewhere, and then in the city records it's 300, but they've been selling the house for $500,000, 600,000, and 400,000. So this full assessment will say like, you will guys go there and check this property, that the value of 300 is no longer more, will be more, and why it's going to be more.
Well, because a revaluation is essentially a mass appraisal of all properties in the city. And that appraisal practice is done through the sales terms. So if we're still seeing sales increasing, over the last time we completed the revaluation, yes, we're going to see the increase in assessments for those properties.
No, you can go ahead, you can finish.
Okay. And you also get the record out of the building inspection. Let's say they change the roof. You know the roof is $14,000. Are you guys checking the records of permits? How many permits this property has taken out? And that every time they take a permit and they put into the house, $10,000, that the value goes up $10,000.
No,
Doesn't work that way?
no, it doesn't work that way. We do track all annually, all year long, as part of our rolling practice in the department. We track all permits. Our policies go out and look and review to see that work is being completed. But a roof would not change the valuation of a property. The only thing that changes the valuation of property from permit work is structural changes, major rehabs to the property, additions, things of that nature. Putting on a roof doesn't change the valuation. It may, when we look at sales trends and recognize that properties that have remodeled some roof, windows, doors, sell more than the property next door that maybe is a little outdated. Those things will all be looked at during the analysis, but it's not something that we target.
Last one. Because we changed the whole comprehensive plan. I noticed a lot of people are building ADUs. Those ADUs are not in your record yet.
They will be as
They will be after the assessment.
No, if an ADU is built during the current year, we pick that out as a new construction. We've already created models within the system to flag them so we can track them and be able to recognize those ADUs separately from what you would call a single family or a two family or three family. So yes, we've already recognized some ADUs being built in the last cycle since the comprehensive plan.
Thank you.
Councilor Peterson?
Thank you. I lost my question. Oh, the push-pin program that you were talking about, is it kind of like, I'm trying to understand how you're able to see changes that have happened on a property. So like outside of anything that's outside, right? Like additions and stuff like that. Is it something where it kind of like takes pictures over time and then it sends you pictures? Is that how it works?
Yes, it's just the outside structure. We can't see anything on the interior, so we don't know if the home has been fully remodeled.
Right.
But it's just the outside, and it just looks at year over year, structural changes.
Really interesting. Thank you. That's a cool question.
Councilman Vargas?
So if I have a concrete fence, it's not 6 foot, it's 3 feet. That change the value of my property?
No, that's not gonna change the value of your property. We'll recognize it if we haven't already put it on the property record pad, just to recognize it as an attribute of your property, but it's not going to change your property value.
Thank you.
And I just want to clarify, although the push-pin software identified at roughly 6,500, that doesn't necessarily mean our city records were incorrect, because it has no way to review our records. It's just reviewing these flyovers over time and recognizing that there's been 6,500 unique changes to different properties throughout the city. It's our responsibility now to go and look at those 6,500 different changes that they detected to see if we may already have them on our records. It could possibly be that. It makes no difference for us. But it's a way to just be sure that our data is as accurate as possible going into a review.
Councilor Peterson?
So tell me about what you guys see as the prices of houses this year and
You wanna
into
move?
next year. I'm nervous to ask it because this is a big situation coming up.
I think we all recognize that prices are still climbing. where it's gonna end up, I don't wanna speculate on that yet, since we really haven't done any analysis on it. And it's really a 2-year sales that we look at, so we're not really there yet. But we have recognized since the completion of our statistical eval, which was just short of 2 years. We're already seeing the sales come in that are significantly higher than our values. So, yes, it seems like we're trending unless something really finds out in the next 12 to 18 months. I think we're gonna see.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
the information.
Councilor Vargas, is it?
Thank you.
Same topic?
No, it's different question. Same topic that we went on, Chair.
One question.
The difference between the full evaluation and the regular evaluation, if I didn't do any changes to my property, will be staying the same value or will change?
It will change. There's not, the only difference between the terminology of statistical and full is a small, very small difference. On a full, they expect us to go and measure and review every property within the city, all 44,000 properties. That's why I started off by saying we understand that that's a thing of the past. People aren't keen on strangers walking on their property, letting strangers inside their property to walk around. So that's why we went with this push-pin technology, and we're trying to curb the way that we're running the full eval. But ultimately, the same results. All property value will change, good, bad, or indifferent.
Thank you.
Last question, Assessor. The push pin in your, you said you've gotten 6,500 properties back. Is that spread across, you would say, as evenly as possible in the city, or do you see certain demographics being alerted, I guess you could say, more? The basis of this question is I want to make sure we're not using any AI technology that might have flawed programming, I guess you could say. Unbeknown to us.
Yeah, I didn't see anything that would indicate that it is segmented to one. If you want to say that, did you see any applications that it was in one area?
Yeah, so we do have some analysis about that. It's pretty much broken into quadrants throughout the city, and you see the more activity where there's more building permit activity. Areas like Silver Lake, that was a bit of a hot spot. So basically, it's like heat detection software. They do the flyovers, and they have like what they call a confidence rate. It's a very, very dark red. That's about a 95% confidence rate. It's a lighter color. It's most likely not a change there. So we rely on that confidence rate and look at the different areas, and it's just these basically follows the trends of the building permit data.
So thank you. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good job.
You can't make that. I think. I think so.
Fine.
Thank you.
Hi,
Thank you.
Finance?
Wow.
We talking about finance? Finance?
We do have a budget.
We do have a budget, we have a lot of budget, but this is our.
Before we start, can I entertain a motion to enter exhibit 2930 into the record?
So moved.
Motion made by Counselor Davidson, second by Counselor Peterson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Crystal, wow.
I know, huh?
Here we are.
Here we are. It's very exciting. I felt like we could bring Carlene up to the table for this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Audience this whole time.
She's a trooper coming to every meeting
I
and
would say for the record, it's voluntary. I did not force this upon her, but yeah, she likes to. There's something about being in the room and like feeling the energy.
Yeah.
You just really can't learn it other than being here. So.
We before you start, Crystal, we appreciate you guys. so
Yeah, we
much.
really do.
Thank you.
You guys have been fabulous. Even when you leave us for vacation, we still appreciate you guys more than you'll know. So.
but feel free not to come tomorrow and Thursday because those are going to be long ones.
Those might be the most important ones, actually.
You definitely see it for that'll be the Wednesday. So as you can see, I'm with our CFO, Lauren Greenstein, our finance director, and my life partner, Sarah Silveria, as well as Carolyn. And we'll get into the very exciting thing that is the finance administration budget. Total proposed expenditures in this department are $1,585,186. This is a $98,863 increase over the fiscal year 2026 budget of $1,486,323. The finance department is not proposing any changes to FTEs or salaries for FTEs. In fiscal 2026, we have a budget of $860,386. We are adjusting these salaries by $30,110 for cost of living increases to bring total salaries to $890,996. Our line items have been broken into fixed and discretionary, the vast majority of which are considered discretionary. First up is fees not classified. This is staff parking for all of our non-union staff, which is all of our staff. We have a small amount of postage for any sort of necessary mailings we need to process. Dues and subscriptions are budgeted at $3,000. This is GFOA number 6, Government Finance Officers Association, for all of the city, including treasury, controllers, any financial staff that would like to join are welcome to hop on our membership. They provide a lot of really great training opportunities for our finance staff, so it's a great resource. We have a $6,000 allocation for printing, and that pays for the budget books that you look at here annually. Private contractors is a budget of $85,000. We piggyback off of the internal auditor's credit for tax credit consulting with CLA. They help us evaluate our IRA eligible projects and kind of, they do file returns on our behalf when we have eligible projects. We additionally like to have funding available in case we need to do any sort of pension studies. And I believe one of the things we're going to be pursuing with pension this year is digitization in our retirement office. Our pension administrator has, I'll be honest, I would be so thrilled if we could do this too. All of our employee records for retirement are maintained in paper in City Hall in those very fancy file cabinets I was talking about. We are starting to run out of space, so we have tasked the pension administrator with kind of looking into options on digitizing. She's working with James Moore and DIS and trying to work with him to see if we can collaborate there. But that's something we're hoping to start pursuing.
Huge undertaking.
It is a massive undertaking, and it's critical. It's like it's literally people's livelihoods, and so ensuring that we are protecting that for our staff is really important.
Just as an aside, I did a digitization project for 100 years worth of data of records, paper records for the school, and it took me 3 years. I was by myself, I didn't have any staff or anything, but it was 3 years. And it's a lot. And that was 100 years of, yeah.
Councilor Peterson is saying, have you guys need help? He's willing to help.
I'm saying that I'm gonna cheer you on from far away.
Yeah, and I think, when it comes to digitizing, it's one thing to say we're just gonna scan it, but one of the things I really want to be thoughtful about is how we're gonna maintain this going forward, because having a data file with a bunch of stuff is not actually helpful, so making sure that we're, storing things in a way where they can be brought up easily and are actually usable is gonna be as important as getting the funding to start this project. So, very excited and have high hopes for Jim. We do have an allocation of $6,000 for professional development. This provides resources for not only our small staff, but any financial staff who would like to do additional training and may not have room in their budget. Additionally, we have a level funded office supplies. We do have a small amount of money for miscellaneous expenses, which is not my favorite, but we do occasionally have things come up that the finance department needs to fund usually not for ourselves, and so sometimes it's helpful to have that allocation available. And then we do have an allocation for our copier, which is very critical this time of year. As you can see, we're putting you guys on printed materials. And we do not have any contracts over $1,000. That wraps up the financial portion of this presentation, and the director has some opening remarks.
I know it almost feels silly to spend so much time together, but it's not too late, so if you don't mind, I have a few things. We're super proud of the finance office. We've built an amazing team. We've got Larry Mancini as our CFO. He's been a tremendous mentor to all of us, Crystal and I especially. He guides us through the bonding process. He handles a lot of high-level projects for the mayor's office. We've got Crystal. She has elevated the budget process and presentation, created new systems for capital, project accounting, and has implemented new budget software. And she is considered a really great mentor to a lot of our fiscal staff across different departments. She's always willing to take someone under her wing and elevate their skill set as well. We've got Scott Slater, he's our senior budget analyst. He is in charge of our master lease. He tracks the payments and reconciles the master leases, and he does any special projects that come along. We've got Carlene Duran, who is our budget analyst. She's Crystal's right hand. She brings experience in the controller's office. We poached her from Dante. I'm sorry, Dante, but the controller's offices are really great. Kind of breeding ground for fiscal staff. They do a good job. There's no better place to learn than accounting. So we're super happy to have her with us. We've got Stephanie Lamantia. She's our capital bond analyst that we poached from public property. And she's worked with Crystal to change the way we account for and track capital projects. And then we have Alicia Perry, our confidential assistant, who supports all of our daily operations and makes sure that we have time to eat lunch every day. We really appreciate her. Our office handles budget development and monitoring, which you are all well aware at this point. We provide monthly operating cash flow reports to the council, quarterly reports to the state. We also prepare and present presentations to rating agencies throughout the year, and provide a continuing disclosure to our bondholders as part of our bond covenants. It's due in February, and it is a very comprehensive document. Takes some time and collaboration from all departments to put that together. Every purchase order, every employee change of status is reviewed and approved by our office. We manage the cash flow to ensure that we are making timely payments for our debt, for our pension, for contracts, for vendors. We participate in collective bargaining agreement negotiations and provide fiscal analysis for contracts, legislation, and such. We serve on several city boards, Board of Contract and Supply, Retirement Board, Board of Supply Board, Board of Investment, PBBA. And the collector, controller, assessor, and recorder of deeds all reports to our office. I don't know if anyone has had the pleasure of meeting our new recorder of deeds. Her name is Liana Silver. She's fantastic. She's been with us maybe a few months now. She's really hit the ground running. She's implemented some great process improvements upstairs, really focusing on customer service as well. We are so super happy to have her. She's a Providence resident, graduate of Providence Public Schools, and she's fantastic. So. Larry, Chris, and I worked together for over a decade, and we're proud of the accomplishments we made together. 10 years ago, the city had a negative fund balance of negative $3.1 million. As of our most recent audit, we have a positive fund balance of $33.3 million. We've also been able to build a medical reserve of $18.8 million. When we started together, that we did not have any medical reserve. So the general fund was responsible for any overspend in claims, but the general fund had to make sure that that medical fund was zeroed out. It could not carry a deficit in that account. So now having that $18.8 million in reserve really takes a lot of pressure off the general fund from claims volatility. We've recently established a debt service reserve to manage unpredictable housing aid reimbursements. This is particularly important as we make school improvements, use project completion date, timeline effects on housing number. So that is something I think was our most recent goal this past year. Yes. One of the first goals that Crystal had when she took the role as deputy
director and budget officer was to earn the GFOA award for budgeting, which is not an easy task. It took, you see this budget book now, but those of you who might remember, the budget book used to be, this big. There was no narrative, there was no description. It was just basically like a big spreadsheet. And so we worked collaboratively with our internal auditor, Gina Costa, to pool some funding together so that we could hire our outside auditors to help us put that document together and make sure we have all the boxes checked. And how many years have you gotten that award now?
We got our 4th award this fall, so it's very exciting.
That's wonderful.
Yes, so now we get the award for the budget and for our auditing, really, so it's a very nerdy thing to be proud of, but we are. And then I mentioned Crystal and her team have changed the way we we account for bond accounting. We now can run reports and see where we are and project spend and know balances in all of our bonds, which is really, really, really helpful. I can't say that enough. And then something that our IT director and Councilman Peterson brought up, that we are in the midst of beginning our ERP replacement project, which I also have not worked directly, but in my time in public accounting, we had a client who did go through an ERP replacement, and it was a mess. And so we were hired to come in and clean it up. So they have like activity booked in 2 different systems, some booked in both systems, some not booked at all. So it was a fun project. But I am confident that the team that we have, we will be on top of this and will be successful in that. So that is.
Chief,
Mr. Chairman, thank you.
your words, man, your words are always so lovely.
Well, I don't have prepared remarks, but I don't need them because I would like to.
I'm pretty sure you could read everything by memory because
No,
you've
I
never
would
done
like to
this
say
before.
that it's an honor to serve as the senior finance official for the city as the CFO. But the team that's been built over the past decade or greater, which you're seeing here this evening, and spends a great deal of time before the finance committee and any other committee in city government. This team has actually remarkably rebuilt the city's finances, and not only the finances, but the integrity associated with those finances. We talk about this often, but my role as CFO was originally envisioned to be the position that would allow my deputy at the time, Sarah, to take over my role then as finance director. That was 6.5 years ago. What that did was it seated Sarah in the opportunity, and she has performed outstanding. The role of finance director serves 6 boards and commissions. The deputy is the key to the city budget. You learn the city by serving as the deputy. Every one of us have served as a deputy in this role. It's the foundation of good accounting and good budgeting. But through that process, more than 10 years ago, Sarah pointed out that there was an initial $5 million deficit when the laws administration came in due to a medical cost overrun. Under state law, under this Deficit Act, you have 5 years to get out of deficit position. And during that period, you're basically reporting to state officials, the Auditor General, the Director of Revenue, the Director of Municipal Finance. We're proud to say that we returned to a balanced position in 2 years rather than 5 years. And while we could have walked away and said, we don't need to meet with state officials any longer, we're further proud to say it is now 10 years, 8 additional years voluntarily. Every month we meet with the Auditor General, Director of Revenue, Director of Municipal Finance, and their staffs by teams meeting. We share with state officials everything that we know about finance, that this team leads every single day. 6 divisions, 65 employees. We report cash flow, pension payments, tax collections, everything, even the things that sometimes have to be disclosed that, quite frankly, doesn't draw a good headline. But what that has done is it has built a relationship with state officials who oversee us. And we are the only municipality in Rhode Island that does that. And it's all voluntary. So in terms of integrity, in terms of our reputation, it's impeccable. The finance directors, their role in day-to-day management of the city's finances has returned that stability. The staff, Mr. Rand and other members of the staff, their work is replete with professionalism. I think on the course of 48 weeks of council meetings or council sessions, not counting your August vacation, we're probably hit 30 or 32 times during those 48 weeks, not just budget season. Anything that does with finance, this team appears before this committee or other committees, public hearings, as you well know. We're there as both support and to deliver information, and I hope in times provide knowledge and education where that wasn't existed before. So on behalf of all of them, I'm very proud of the opportunity we have each and every time we come before this committee. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Chief, appreciate that.
So nice to have it.
I was just pondering on those words for. No, I say that not jokingly, Chief. I mean, when you talk about, you know, the experience and some of you guys have said mentorship. I mean, I feel like some of you guys have unintentionally or intentionally have mentored me as a city council person. So I greatly appreciate it. We've been meeting in this room for, it's already 4 years now. Anything that we can do to support or any questions we have, you guys have been extremely professional and efficient and helpful. And we greatly appreciate that. Even throughout this most recent budget process, I know it looks slightly different, but you guys have done nothing but be as collaborative as possible. We really appreciate that. Is there any questions, committee folks? Councilor Davidson and Councilor Peterson and Councilor Marquez.
Just a clarifying question, because I noticed the one position in your department that is funded by the CIP budget. Can you help me, and again, here we go with new mentoring a new person, so thank you. Can you help me understand a little bit how and why the CIP budget is separate? So I can understand how that works.
Yep, so the capital improvement budget actually is submitted at the same time as the operating budget, but is considered a separate kind of budget document.
It's one of the
So
books
that's
I
one
bring
of
back
the
and forth
books
every
you got.
day.
Yes, we'll go through them tomorrow. And so that position and several of our positions, actually, if you look at the Department of Public Works and Department of Public Property, there are several staff that are working exclusively on capital projects, capital bonds, and so we use what's known as OPM, or Owner's Project Manager, allocations out of those bond dollars to cover those staff salaries. In the case of this particular position, it actually was previously in the Department of Public Property doing very similar work. And as Sarah had mentioned, we felt it was a detriment to the city to not have all of the financial monitoring of these bonds living in the finance department. And so we did absorb that position out of public property into the finance department so that she reports directly to the finance office. But the way that works is she is paid, by the city, and then her salary and benefits are reimbursed by the bonds.
Okay, thank you for explaining that.
Councilor Peterson?
I had the same exact question.
Oh.
So,
Councilor Vargas?
Thank you. The question is, how much money we have on the economic department to loan to small businesses?
The
Right.
PBLF.
The PLA, I know the director, Sarah, I think you're in charge of that one.
I am not, I'm not involved in the PBL program, but.
I do serve on the board as a mayoral appointee, and I don't have that exact amount, but I can get that.
That's separate from the
General fund.
the small business loan thing, Providence Fund or something. Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's Providence Business Loan from PBLF. It's
Yeah,
known as.
yeah.
It's had other iterations over its life, but it's been in existence almost 40 years in one way or another. It's meant to give small business loans to those who meet the eligibility criteria. The criteria generally is low to moderate income, elimination of slum and blight. The general rule for every one job created, you are eligible to borrow $35,000, maximum $125,000 with a match of your loan. And it's a revolving fund of sorts because the loans are repaid with interest. And in many cases, it's known as the lender of last resort. You have to demonstrate that you are not bankable elsewhere, but still given an opportunity to borrow from the city. And loans are made by application through the Department of Planning. That's staffed, but it's a separate board, staffed by appointments to the board by the mayor, and I believe maybe a council.
Do you, Mike,
Yeah, of course.
do we charge interest?
Yes.
Can I ask another question? Now that we're talking about the finance, I can see that this is the head of the city. Everything goes through you guys. Is anything else that we can do to have a better finance in the whole city, what we need to do, like, as a councilman, what I need to do, and you as employees of the city, what else we can do to have more revenue coming into the city, not raising taxes.
So it's tricky because 65% of our revenue is taxes.
Mhm.
And so 65% of our revenue is from taxes, about 22% is state aid, and the rest is just like departmental fees and things like that. So we're kind of limited in the ways that we can generate money. Taxes being the largest piece of our budget. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, with that said, and the director's accurate in that regard. As an example, if you look at just this year's proposed budget, the growth of this budget this year was minimal in comparison to the needs of the budget. Without a tax rate change, therefore without a tax increase. Certainly, the Department of Economic Development is always looking to expand the city's business footprint wherever possible. The more business that come to the city, including if they purchase or expand building locations, create jobs, the city is the capital city, with a hub of business for the entire state. Certainly would expand the city levy, again, not raising taxes, but expanding the revenue that can do so. I think in any economy, it's affected by what goes on in the national economy. Providence is a well-known destination city for travel. There's no question about that. When we talk about the Providence Place Mall, and now under new ownership, there are many opportunities. The mall is a destination mall. It's attached to a world-class hotel. It's in a world-class arts and cultural city, the city of Providence, a well-diversified city, a city that's home to institutions that are renowned, education and healthcare. We have all the natural attributes to attract business, but it's a rough economy. And with change since COVID, with many businesses downsizing or operating on a remote basis, that's clearly interfered or interrupted with business expansion. But I do believe, and I'm very hopeful that we'll see that. And as a capital city, and maybe as the state grows and gets stronger, the city will see that. So this unusual rise in prices for home, and I know that there's been discussions about, rent stabilization and what have you. Housing prices clearly are extraordinarily out of sync with what goes on in the real economy. But that's based on investors. When that cools, and it will cool, sure. When, we don't know, but when it returns to a normal degree, investors will be willing to make those investments in the city of Providence on the business side, commercial side, and have workforce housing as well. But to the director's point, our role in finance is to manage a budget that is achievable based on the revenue that we can receive. Oftentimes, departments work within very small margins, and they live within those margins. Oftentimes, the council asks, do you need more? And while they would like to say, yes, they need more here and there, they realize that there are limitations. In order to keep that budget strict and affordable, all things considered, and without putting burden on taxpayers, including homeowners, it's a shared effort. So we're always hopeful that we manage the budget well. You heard me say this once before this season, maybe other times, that as good as the budget is the day it's passed, one unfortunate event can change that, and you live with that the rest of the year, and then you have to adjust. Ms. Silveria and Ms. Lindbergh learned that right off the bat. And here's an example this year with the blizzard, and with not yet knowing whether or not there'll be a federal recovery or not. We had to adapt to that in February, 8 months into the year, to tell departments that essential spend only. But they may have had projects that were already planned for the spring, but may not to be restricted where possible, where practical. That's the job of managing the budget, and they do that job daily. So we'll see. But from an economic development standpoint, as a city, certainly anytime we could attract business and new initiatives, that department is always looking for new opportunities, no question about it. And you heard some fantastic testimony from the Director of Arts, Culture, and Tourism, and also the administration on the World Cup, major event. And while we weren't the prime site, but as a sub-site, we may end up being more popular in what we offer. And the attractiveness of being close to New York or Boston, or accommodations that are probably more affordable than New York or Boston, but still having a great fan experience. And that planning has been in place for more than a year and a half. Weekly meetings, in-state, out-of-state, by our COO who had that initiative. And when people come to the city, they go, wow, this is a friendly city. This is a comfortable city. This is a city that I'd like to have my kids come to school. But I think the word gets out that Providence is a place to invest in. And ideally, it's, that'll continue.
Councilman Vargas. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you very much for the long explanation. Didn't answer my question. That is anyway, is for finance department, because I see that you guys deal with numbers. Is anywhere that we can have like some funds, create a funds to give it to the first time buyers who want to buy a property, at least $50,000 to a first time buyer to help them to get their own property in the city of Providence. It's a little push. Will be a loan for 30 years, something that we can work on it, how we can work on that. It's an idea that I'm giving you to these different departments to work on and try to do that. I understand the finance is to balance the budget, but at the same time, with the rise of the properties, is feeling like we getting pushed out. Because people selling properties in different states for $800,000, come here and buy it for $500,000 to the people who's here and say, look, I'm moving here from going to the south. I don't care no more about the city. I'm selling mine for $500,000. Goodbye. But to protect our kids who wants to buy a property, but they don't have that much money to, or they don't qualify, but they will qualify to get a loan for $50,000. Or it's SNP, how they call it, to get it's something, an idea for you to think about it.
So in that regard, I meant 35 years ago, say you created a down payment closing cost assistance program, $2,500 loan, no interest. If you stayed in the property, did not sell it, did not require repayment. Upon sale, it got paid. It was a revolving fund. But that was funded from an EDA grant and from HUD through CDBG fund. So it would have to be a line item in the CDBG budget. $2,500 35 years ago, and I say that with distinct memory in my service to the city, we had hundreds of people that owned it, hundreds. What followed that was the home repair program for energy efficient for lead removal. That became a grant. Borrow for 10 years, the first 5, if you stayed in the property for the first 5, it was forgiven. Up to $10,000 per unit. So you borrow in a 3-family. These were all programs that were sponsored with federal funds that were available to do that. So if we could reimagine that again, it would have to be some level of funding that comes from other than the city, I think, because the city would not be able to afford that. But certainly a worthwhile program when that program was fully operational.
Yeah, Councilman Vargas, I think a conversation with Director or Chief Friedman around this
Yeah.
would be
The point is, the model exists.
Right.
And it did work. And so it's a matter of finding the appropriate funding source.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Peterson?
Yeah, I think I just want to make a quick comment. I wasn't a part of this committee until now, but I certainly attended so many of these meetings over the last 4 years, and it was really more coming from the grants world, really understanding municipal public accounting is, while I know a little bit, I only know this much in comparison to everything that you guys know. So my feedback is really just consistent to what the chair had said. I think one of the things that I value the most is that you've allowed me to learn substantially more about how our city finances are. And in some years, it's a little bit scary to deal with, and then the others we've been able to figure it all out over the last term, and I very much appreciate that. But I think overall, my comment is just a sincere thank you, because you've made it so accessible to us. And I know that sometimes we ask for many things in terms of really just trying to understand the crux of what you have to deal with, in an effort to try and also explain a little portion of it to our constituents, which sometimes goes really great and sometimes it doesn't. So this is just a very sincere thank you, because it's allowed me to learn tremendously about just how much work and effort it goes into doing all of this year to year. And while some years it's a little bit taxing, no pun intended, for the constituent, it is very helpful just to be able to see it firsthand and be able to try and figure out how to make it a little bit better. I mean, I think we all have, like all of us, I think, have taken a stab at trying to do things and supported things to try and make things better for our constituents in one form or another. And seeing this as you have presented it every single year has really opened up our eyes to just how much it takes to run the city. So thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions? My only question, I guess, is I know we're gonna have conversations regarding PPSD. Are you guys coming on Thursday or?
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure what the committee had expected of us.
Yeah.
For that, I can certainly be here.
Yeah, I think what would be helpful, and I don't know if we want to go into it right now, because I'm sure things are going to change, but maybe prior to state takeover, what was finances, this committee's process when it came to PPSD funding?
The budget was presented no different than any other department, and it was vetted with the opportunity to ask questions of school officials. And the finance team central would support no different the presentation of that budget, because it was the appropriation that funded nearly half that budget, as it is today.
Right.
Our appropriation funds nearly half that budget.
So I guess my question right now is, do we have the final approval going into next year, or?
I'm going to defer to our deputy, because she was our point person on the night.
So I think the timing of the city legally, and this actually may become more of a legal question, not to just keep pointing it to somebody else.
Right.
But, my understanding is that until she hands the keys over, until we are legally responsible for the school district and that is all settled, the final decisions of a program, personnel, and budget rely with the Commissioner of Education. So we very well could be in a place where the city and city council are inheriting a budget that was approved by the commissioner at some point in June and need to make a decision on what to do with that budget at some point in July. What I will say is if there's going to be a proposal to make changes, or legally it's determined that the city has the authority to make changes, those will need to be made extremely quickly because school will be starting very shortly.
Right.
The budget that had been presented to me by the district a little over a week ago, I want to say, yeah, it was a week ago, did show that they were budgeting a deficit next fiscal year. So from our perspective in finance, that is something we're very concerned with because we are not allowed to carry a deficit. So I believe that number was about $3.2 million. So when we're looking at this, Sarah and I are saying, is this $3.2 million we are going to need to come up with in fiscal 27 to make them whole? And we think that's another kind of legal question that we're going to need to flush out. One thing that does help mitigate that is that the district has been carrying their own reserve level. So I think at the end of their last audit, they had around $6 million. They're projecting to have a $2.6 million deficit in fiscal year 2026. So I believe that their intention is to almost deplete all of those reserves as of June 30th of 2027. And so that is something that we will all need to plan for, particularly because this will directly impact the city's credit and the city's credit rating. And this actually is a risk that came up on one of our more recent rating calls is what does happen if and when the school resumes local control. And so it's gonna be a challenge. I will tell you that this budget has been challenging. These budgets we've been through, Councilman Pearson alluded to, we've had it's been a tough 4 years. None of these budgets have been easy. Their budget is going to be even harder. In large part because it's kids, right? Like I'm a mom, like we don't want to take funding away from children. But financially there are problems. And so I think we are going to need to look at those and figure them out. It's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough.
Can I ask, I'm sorry, I don't want to keep everybody, I really have just a question that I won't forget. That deficit, does that include the projected layoff of teachers?
It does.
So there is a projected layoff of teachers and then there is still that deficit.
So there is a projection, and I don't have the exact numbers in front of me.
Yeah, I know we're sort of pre-talking about the thing we're going to talk about, but.
My quick summary is that there is projected to be increases in revenue on both the city and state side, so their revenue will be increasing. There are some significant cuts to staffing that's been publicly presented to the school board, and despite the increase in revenue and those cuts, there is still a budget.
Thank you for clarifying that. And I asked, Crystal was kind enough to agree to send us the school budget documents tomorrow. So we have a little bit of an opportunity to dive in and review if we haven't already.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you, Crystal. The last thing I would ask is, if you identify any needs in the near future, obviously you'll come to us, but the sooner the better. What I've told people is, at least from my position, I want to be as supportive as possible. And if that includes making tough decisions to benefit this transition, and then I'm more than happy to, because I think this is, obviously I don't gotta say it to anyone in this room, this is a huge moment, and we're only as prepared as we are prepared at the end of the day, and I think you guys have set us up to be okay in any possible scenario, but if there's anything that we can do with this current budget to support the transition and the kids and the teachers and even the school board leadership at PPSD, et cetera, this is all hands on deck, and I think we're all committed to this work, and that's my ask is if there's anything that you identify, whether that's, I know procurement, there was a position that would potentially need to be funded, which obviously it's going to be now. If there's anything else like that, please let us know.
Yeah, certainly. We'll be sure to reach out, and I will say, I think very safe in speaking for the administration, and probably counsel too, that everybody wants these kids to succeed, and we may not always all get along on most things, but I do know that we're all united in wanting these children to have the best education possible, and so I can say of all of the staff I've been talking with on the administration side, that this is going to be a tremendous amount of work, but it's work worth doing. And a lot of us come to work here because we know it matters and because we know we're giving to the community. So while it's going to be a huge lift and it's going to be scary probably at times and definitely a lot of work, it's going to be work for a worthwhile cause, and I'm excited about that.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Any last questions, comments? Nope. Thank you all very much. We greatly appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee and council.
At this time, I'll take a motion to continue items 1 through 5. Motion made by Councilor Peterson, second by Councilor Davidson. All those in favor? Aye. The ayes have it. Motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Councilor Davidson, second by Councilor Peterson. All those in favor? Aye. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, council.
My back seat of my car is full of papers. Children cannot sit in that back seat.